Hello and welcome everyone to today's Good Guts interview. Today I'm talking to Abby Soares from Nourish Health and Nutrition. Welcome, Abby.
Hi Amy, it's great to be here.
Awesome. And maybe Abby, you can start off by telling our audience a bit about yourself.
Yeah, certainly. So my name's Abby Soares and I'm a integrative health coach and nutritionist, and I work for Nourish Health and Nutrition, which is my own business, and I help clients to work through their health issues using food and also gut healing. I also focus on immunity, so trying to help people improve their immune systems naturally, so they're not reliant on medications. My background is that I've been a registered nurse for the last 16 years and really became interested in nutrition about halfway through that time, and did postgraduate degrees in nutrition. And then my own son, who's now 10, suffered from dyspraxia. So I was really trying to find the root cause of how to heal that, which he's now lost his diagnosis through gut healing, which is amazing. So we're really invested in gut healing within our own family. And then, it's a real privilege to be able to work with clients to help them deal with their own health issues. So, that's where I come from, my background.
Awesome. So you've mentioned gut healing already, and that's really the focus of today's interview. So I want to start at the beginning and talk about how does little babies, how do our gut health, how does it start off in life?
Yeah, certainly. That's a great question. So it actually starts at conception. So there is some bacteria in the sperm and some in the egg, and that it starts, right before the baby's even made. So it's really important that both the mum and the dad actually have good gut health themselves before having children. So if you struggle with anything to do with the mucous membranes in your body, that is considered to be a gut health problem. So whether it be allergies, sinusitis, hay fever, asthma, eczema, any gut problems, IBS, any autoimmune diseases, any urinary tract problems, then that means that you have a gut health issue, and that needs to be addressed before you have babies, so that your bacteria is passed on healthy to make your baby. It's really important, that part. So then the baby grows in the tummy, and for the first 5 months the mother is making the amniotic fluid for the baby, and that amniotic fluid is full of good bacteria which the baby is swallowing the whole time. So again, it's really important that the mum has good gut health then and good bacteria in her body, that her internal ecosystem of good bacteria is really healthy, so that her baby is swallowing lots of good bacteria and culturing their gut lining. And then at birth, this is a very, very important part, and probably the most important part, is when a baby's born, they travel down the birth canal. This is in a natural delivery, and they take in big gulps of intestinal flora from the mum's birth canal, and those flora go in and they line all your mucous membranes from the eyes, nose, ears, throat, lungs, all the way through the stomach, into the intestines, all the way down to the bowel and the bladder. And those bacteria are like our buffer, and they line the baby's gut, and collecting those bacteria is absolutely essential for having good gut health. So babies that are born by a cesarean section, they miss all that good gut flora, and essentially they're missing a significant part of their immune system. Then after the birth, if the baby has had a natural delivery and they've got those good bacteria in the tummy and all through their mucous membranes, then hopefully they'll be breastfed, and that breastfeeding really makes the good bacteria bind in to the mucous membranes and really gives them a good start to really become really strong and healthy. And so if a baby, for example, is born by cesarean section and not breastfed, then they're really on the back foot in terms of gut health, because they haven't acquired the good bacteria that they need to have their first arm of their immune system. So yes, that you can still come back from that though. It just requires a lot more hard work. So that's how the gut is cultured with good bacteria.
Wow. So yeah, that's really interesting, Abby. So if how can you come back from it? So for those in our audience who may have had abnormal gut flora when they gave birth to their children, or whose children were delivered via cesarean, can you help us to understand how you can, what things you can do to rebalance your children's gut flora?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, a lot of us can't choose our birth stories, and a lot of the information that we learn later, we would have loved to have before we were pregnant, but we didn't know it. So we can never blame ourselves for our child's gut health. It's just, it's just one of those things, and we've really just got to go with the information that we've got at the time and really be knowledge seekers in terms of health for our babies. So if your child is presenting with any signs or symptoms of gut health issues, so like eczema, asthma, any allergies at all, any abnormal stools. So if you look on the Bristol stool chart, it should be about a number 4 for an older child. For breastfed babies, obviously that's a different picture, but about a number 4 on the Bristol stool chart, and then your stools are healthy. But if they're having any diarrhea, any constipation, that is an indication that their gut flora is not healthy. So what we need to do is, firstly, we need to put in the food that feeds the good bacteria in the body. Usually there's 90% good bacteria and 10% bad within the body, and those 90% of the good guys, they employ the bad to do jobs for them. So it works really well. It's a good balance, but often we get gut dysbiosis, which is when that balance gets out, which is when, say, for example, if someone had a gut health issue, they might have something like 50-50, or they might have a really small amount of good bacteria and a really large amount of bad. So the bad guys, they love sugar, they love refined grains like bread and cakes and biscuits and pasta and rice crackers and that sort of thing. They love sugar, they love milk, they really like processed dairy. So we try and starve out those things from those guys. So I recommend going on a diet that is a whole food diet, that means food that's grown in nature in its own state. So, for example, a packet of biscuits or a packet of rice crackers wouldn't be whole food, because it doesn't look anything like rice and doesn't look anything like the grains and things that it's come from. So, sticking to food that's grown in nature in its whole form, like eggs and meat and nuts and seeds and vegetables and fruit. So those things, they all feed the good bacteria in the body, and when you're feeding the good guys, then they start to rise up, they start to kill off the bad guys, and the bad guys start to die off when their food source is taken from them. Greens are really important. I feel like they're almost one of the most important things to be having in your diet, and I definitely see that with my clients. The biggest changes that they see is when they start to really amp up their greens and having, at least half their plate covered with green leaves and vegetables, so really amping up their veggies, because that's the food source of good bacteria. They love it. That provides them with prebiotics, so they can make probiotics. It's absolutely essential. And they also provide a really amazing pH within the body. So pH is particles of hydrogen. It's how our body, it's the medium that our body likes to live at. So the pH of our blood is always 7.3, and our body will do anything to keep us there. But when we're eating a processed diet or a standard New Zealand diet, our body becomes really acidic, and the pH changes within our blood. And that feeds the bad guys. They love acidic environments. They really thrive in that, and they can't live in an alkaline environment, which all the food from vegetables and leafy greens provides alkalinity. So that's another great way to kill them off. Also, I really recommend putting probiotics in. It's really essential. So getting a really good probiotic that you slowly build up over time. When you first put in a probiotic food or a probiotic capsule, it causes a thing called die-off, which is when the good guys all go in and they fight with the baddies, and those baddies die and they dump their toxins into your bloodstream, and you can feel quite yucky for a few days, and that's called die-off. And so just to lessen the effects of that, we wouldn't kick into taking 4 probiotics straight away. We'd start off on 1 and we'd stay on that for a week, and then we'd when the die-off symptoms have gone, then we'd increase that again by another 1. Some people can't even handle 1. We have to really start with like half doses or quarter doses, so it just depends on the level of bad bacteria within the body. Then
Abby, what sort of symptoms might someone experience with die-off?
It can vary, but mostly it's headaches, nausea. You can have body tingling and aching, like similar to a flu. Mm-hmm. High temperatures, can just feel really tired. Also can get diarrhea and vomiting. So painting a great picture, but it's really important to get rid of those bad guys. So the suffering is certainly worth it, and it doesn't drag on forever. Start off and you might, experience those symptoms just for a few days, and then the die-off starts to ease, and you can slowly increase the probiotics over time. Yeah. The same can happen with probiotic foods. So I do recommend that people start to introduce those things within their diet. So coconut kefir is really great, and sauerkraut, and what else? Coconut yogurt is also awesome. It's just really important that when you have those things that you're having bacteria that comes from a reliable source, because sometimes ferments can make people worse if they, for example, from kefir grains or kombucha often worsens candida because it's a wild bacteria, and we can't always guarantee that those bacteria are really good ones. Mm-hmm. So I try and make sure that all my clients stay on probiotic foods that are from reliable sources, so that are cultured by starter cultures, so that the cultures have been tested that those good bacteria are really good. I'd love to say, use the ancient ways and do that, but I think over time that works for some people, and for others it does worsen their gut bacteria. So just try and stick to fermented foods like sauerkraut, coconut kefir, and coconut yogurt that have been fermented with culture, not just using grains or mother scoobies and things for kombucha.
Great. Awesome. Okay, so what about some of the things that would potentially damage our gut flora as we go through life?
Yeah. So obviously if we start off from birth, that's damaged gut flora straight away if we haven't acquired the right bacteria there. And if we haven't been breastfed, then that's also another significant issue. And then we, move into feeding our children, and when they wean off formula or breast milk and onto solids, and that's a really important time to get them onto the right foods. So it's really important to think about the food that you're feeding your child and think, would they be able to eat this without teeth? So for example, if we're going to start them on say rice cereal, like a lot of the recommendations say, that wouldn't be right for our babies who don't have teeth. You see, we need to have teeth to be able to digest grains. That's when our gut is ready to be able to do that. So we start with things like vegetables that are easy to digest, that are well cooked, because if we're kind of starting on things that aren't cooked so well, they're very difficult to digest. So it's really important to put in really healthy whole foods right from the beginning, that we're trying not to go for packaged and processed foods, that we're sticking to food that's been provided to us by nature, and nature always gets it right. People definitely don't. So I'm just going to turn that light on. It's a little bit dark, a bit better. Also eating in season is really important. Eating in season is nature's way of showing us what we need to eat for our immune system at that time of year. So that feeds the good bacteria in our body. Just like, for example, you might do really well on smoothies over summer, but as soon as you get to winter, they start to make you feel really cold and they don't feel good in your body. They might hurt your tummy a little bit, and that's because they're too cold for your body. So wanting to eat more warming foods over winter and more cooling foods over summer. And that's the same with babies as well, and children, that we're just trying to really listen to the seasons, listen to what food is being provided to us in nature over that time, and just kind of watching what they are naturally going to. If you have bad bacteria in your body, then you or your child will be craving sugar, you'll be craving milk, bread, all that stuff, all the starchy carbohydrates, chips, all that sort of thing. So that's a good indication that you've got some overload there. So kind of doing the reverse of that, and often taking out the food that they're most addicted to is really important. I know that seems horrible, but it's always the food that they want, or you feel like you want the most, is causing the most issues generally, by rule of thumb. If you're sticking to a whole food diet, eating with the seasons, listening to your body, then you'll always be right in terms of food, and avoiding processed, packaged food as much as possible. Trying to buy from farmers markets, getting into a good food co-op with your friends or family, so that you can buy food that's organic and as natural as possible, so you're avoiding all the nasty sprays and things like that.
Great. And what sort of role does stress play on our gut health?
Yeah, that's a huge one, and it's I see it so often that clients will come in and they're eating exceptionally well, but they're still not getting the desired results, and that's because their stress levels are just so high. And I touched on before that the pH within the body, and stress is very acid forming. So every time you're stressed, your inner ecosystem inside your body will be really acidic. And that feeds all the bad bacteria in the body and gives them the environment that they like to live, and it kills off our good bacteria. So, a real decent blow of stress can wipe out your good guys considerably. It's like putting a bit of an atomic bomb in there. So really working on stress is so important, especially for mums. We're all so busy, and, it's not the easiest job in the world, raising kids. We're all tired and overworked and underpaid, whatever. So it's really important to look after ourselves and understand what our triggers are for stress. And I just see mums all the time that are living off coffee and chocolate, and then drinking alcohol in the evenings because they're just wanting to calm down or escape. And it's such a terrible combination, because your body is just starving of nutrients, and it's in this terrible vicious cycle of being so depleted and just having nothing that it can run on, and we're giving it all these artificial things to try and give ourselves some energy. So that just increases the stress within the body significantly. So kind of really getting back to basics, make sure you're nourishing yourself with really good whole foods, and that you're eating regularly. So breakfast, morning tea, lunch, afternoon tea, and dinner for people that are new to changing their diet. And then for those of us that have been eating this way for a while, just trying to give you, maybe eating 3 times a day so that you have a bit more of a time between meals just for your gut to recalibrate. But at the beginning, people, do need to eat more regularly just to get those nutrients in. I find that most people for stress release need to do some type of exercise a day. Exercise is so amazing. It's the best antidepressant in the whole world. And it's just so lovely. You walk away from whatever you're doing, whether it's a walk, whether it's going to the gym or going to yoga or playing some sport that you really love, and you've got all these wonderful endorphins rushing around your body, all these feel-good hormones, and they actually make you eat better, they help you sleep better, they make you be kinder to your husband so that your relationships are better. So stress just really dissipates significantly when you're looking after yourself and moving your body. If you're working at a desk all day or you're not as active as you'd like to be, it really shows in stress levels. So be active.
Awesome. And one other thing that's often in the media is our use of antibiotics as well. How does that play a role in our gut health?
Yeah, that's a really important question, because I think over time antibiotics have become, they were really this amazing discovery and helped so many people, and that was great. But then they became really overprescribed, and there was a huge epidemic of that. And it's starting to come out the other side of that now. There are some GPs that are really trying not to prescribe antibiotics nearly as much. But it's really been a terrible thing for immunity in a whole. Yes, there are times where we do need to take antibiotics, but we should really try and limit that. Research shows that even if you have one lot of antibiotics a year, that your rates for cancer increase significantly. So it's very important to try and limit the amount of antibiotics and any pharmaceutical products that are going into your body. Just trying to keep your body as natural as possible. So antibiotics go in and they kill the bad bacteria, but they also kill the good bacteria. So it's like an atomic bomb going off, and it kills all your good guys. And we're just going to remember that the good bacteria, they are the first arm of your immune system. They are 85% of your immune system, and they cover all your mucous membranes. So for an adult, if we stretched out your mucous membranes, that would be the size of a tennis court. That's a huge area. So that's all our wet areas, our eyes, nose, ears, throat, lungs, stomach, all the way through our intestines, through to our bowel and our bladder, and then out those canals there. So those areas are lined with good bacteria, and they do everything for us. They absorb our nutrients. They protect us from other bacteria and viruses from the outside world. It's our buffer, really. So, the outside world is full of lots of pathogens, and the inside of us is sterile. And so our mucous membranes, those wet areas, that's where our army lives, and that's there to protect us so that we can't get sick. We're not meant to get sick when we have enough good bacteria to look after us. They are our army. So when we have antibiotics, essentially our army gets killed right off. And then we're we're over that bug that we took the antibiotics for, but then we're on the back foot. And it's really important that we really focus on boosting good bacteria rather than killing off the bad guys with antibiotics. So what I recommend when people get sick is to really rest. That's an important thing to do. In today's society, we just keep charging even if we're sick. And it's important to rest. If you think about a child or an animal, they don't really eat much when they're sick, and they just lie down and they just sleep, and that's their body just working really, really hard to kill off the infection and kill off the bug. Fevers are also really important things, and people are really scared about them these days. And for the slightest fever, Camel was given out to our children. But fevers are really important. They are the body's natural way of rising the body temperature to kill off those bad bacteria and the viruses and pathogens. So fevers are important. We just, do have to monitor those, and when they start getting up past 39, then, you can consider giving something to bring it down. But usually up to 39, 39.5, generally safe, as long as you're doing cooling measures. So that means that you're giving the body lots of water, because when it's hot, it's going to be using up a lot of water, and dehydration is an issue. And lukewarm baths, lots of sponging, lots of rest. So fevers are a good thing. They help kill it off. So it's important that the body learns how to deal with bugs and viruses when they come into your body. If the child has always been given antibiotics, or the adult has always been given antibiotics, then their natural immune system doesn't actually know what to do when something comes, and that's why they get exceptionally more sick than others. Plus, they don't have the first arm of their immune system, all those good bacteria, to deal with all the bugs that are coming in and making them sick in the first place. So when someone is sick, I recommend not eating much. I recommend resting, cooling measures, so lots of water, and cold baths and showers, or lukewarm. And I also recommend taking more probiotics, because you can imagine if we add in more good guys, it's like adding a whole nother army in there to fight the bad guys. So instead of wiping everyone out with antibiotics, you can try first boosting probiotics and seeing if that helps. So if it's something like to do with like a head cold, whether it's sore throat, sore ears, chest things going on, then I recommend opening a probiotic capsule or getting some powdered probiotics and just putting it in the mouth regularly throughout the day. And those good bacteria, they just sit in the mouth and they travel up into the sinuses and the ears and down into the throat and lungs, and they start attacking all the bad guys. So that's a great way of doing it. Another good thing that is really good to take is bone broth, and I should have mentioned that when I was talking about gut healing before, but I recommend more stock rather than broth, and the difference is that broth is a long cook, so you sometimes that can be difficult for people to tolerate, but short cooked stocks are great. So that's like cooking some chicken and the bones for, let's say, 2 hours, and you're drawing off all the gelatin and the collagen and the minerals and the wonderful nutrients from all the bones and cartilage and joints, and you're drawing that into the stock which you drink, and it's very, very good for the body. It's wonderful at getting as a electrolyte replacer, as just wonderful warming nutrients to help the body get better. So when someone is sick, having those nice healing stocks, probiotics, lots of water, lots of rest, not eating too much food is really important, rather than going straight to antibiotics straight away. It's really important to just let your body try and get better on its own. And if you think, I'm really not winning this battle, then sure, definitely go to the doctor. But yeah, I think it's really important to let the body register its own immunity first.
Yeah, really good point, Abby. So if somebody does have to end up taking antibiotics, then what would you recommend? I guess it's the same again, just making sure that they, replace the good bacteria that's been killed by the antibiotics with, double dosing up on the probiotics again.
Yeah, definitely. And another thing that happens when all those good guys get killed off is that there's nothing left to protect your gut lining. So the gut becomes leaky and damaged, and so you can develop like a leaky gut type of symptom. So those stocks are really important. So boosting stocks and soups and eating nice warming food is really important. Cooked food, because it's easy to digest. Putting those probiotics in, having probiotic foods like sauerkraut or coconut kefir is really helpful. And when the body starts feeling better, then you can start really amping up those veggies again, just to really detoxify your body, because the medications, they don't just go in and come out. They go in and some of it comes out, but a lot gets stuck in there. And so we have to detoxify our body after we have some type of medication like that. It's really important to do that, otherwise it just continues to make us sick. So natural detoxifying foods are vegetables. Really important to amp up on those.
Fantastic. Well, Abby, that's been such a huge amount of really good information for our audience today. So I wanted to thank you for your time. If people want to come and spend some time with you and find out how they can make some positive changes, then they should head to your website. Is that the best option?
Yes, that's right. Yep, www.nourishhealth.co.nz.
Fantastic.
Otherwise, I've got a Facebook page that's got lots of good information on there, and that's Abby Soares, health coach, Nourish Health and Nutrition. Quite a long-winded one, but yeah, there's lots of ideas and recipes on there about how to boost immunity, different types of foods to eat, generally just kind of what my family eat on a daily basis. So it just gives you some idea. It's quite good to be able to visually see it.
Yeah, no, I can definitely vouch. I've used Abby's Facebook page for many of our dinners at home. It's provided me with a lot of inspiration. So thank you very much, Abby, for that and for your time today.
It's been a pleasure. It's been so nice being here. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thank you.